What do you do if you're teaching a ecological or CLA class and you start to lose everyone? The engagement goes down. Well, there's a few things you can do. There's probably some things you can stop doing depending on what's going on. There's not a single answer, but we're going to figure that out through analyzing a actually a very good seminar by David Uy. So stay tuned. Welcome back, Combat Learning fam. Coming out the gate swinging. Usually I hit, sometimes I miss. Please forgive me for my misses. Today we're going to be looking at an analysis of David Uy, who I'm not going to be hitting. He did a seminar in Singapore. Very cool. Singapore is a cool place. And he covers a lot of ground, about an hour and a half, but what we'll see is as it drags on, I don't say drag in a pejorative sense, it's just a long seminar. We're going to see that people kind of, they stop working as much, they start, talking a little more, and they're a little, they appear to be, based on looking at the way their bodies move and the amount of talking, to be less engaged. To be honest, I think at least some of that is not anyone's fault. It's the seminar, as David mentions, is on a Sunday. It feels like a bit of an open mat, sort of. It's not really an open mat, but it just kind of has that feel because when you do an open mat, you usually come in on like a Friday night or a Saturday morning or something, or Sunday morning. And open mats, coming in on Sunday, open mats, they tend to be pretty lax. People feel very much at liberty to talk between rounds and not roll. I mean, sometimes not even roll half the rounds of the open mat. So yeah, I think some of this is at least attributable. Sorry for all that noise. It's a beautiful day here in North Carolina, and I have the windows up because I don't want to turn the air conditioner on. At least some of that is attributable to just, it just happens to be on a Sunday, right? It's a free seminar, so there's the attendees don't really have any skin in the game either, right? They don't have, it's just like, I'm just going to show up. So yeah, I think he does a good job, and we're going to take a look here at his, the games he's got going on and some of the practices he engage in, and take it from there. So let's switch over to the next scene. There we go. Clean break. Everything's still recording. I don't have to record everything still. Oh no, I triggered the robot. Oh, never mind. Oh, still figuring this out. Guys, I'm a recovering Luddite still. Okay, I believe, knock on wood, there's no real wood to knock on around me. Everything's plastic and fake. I believe everyone can hear what's going on the screen. I double checked before I started the stream with a different recording using the same tool. So, here's hoping.
I myself have a degree in physiotherapy, so I have some level of normal understanding about this. I will try and bring some of that to you first.
Yes, this is an interesting thing. Big respect for physiotherapists. I think it's a heck of a lot more of a useful healing modality than much of what you get out of chiropractic work. That's just my opinion. If you're a chiropractor, please don't be upset with me. Um, you know, I'm sure decompressing the spine and stuff is like very useful for relieving pain, but physiotherapists, they really do the work to actually like make issues go away. But physio physical therapy is, we usually say physical therapy over here, not physio, or PT. So like physical therapy is plagued with the same problems, and there is some talking to some physical therapists, there is some instruction on motor learning and control, but not much. And I don't think that most people that practice keep up with that as their careers go on. So they develop a very functional level, a high level of functional skill treating these issues, but they don't really have the help and the guidance of theories. And so, innovation comes through really just raw trial and error, and that's fine. But with a theory, especially one like ecological dynamics, you have more immediate directions to go in, and you might find that in fact you can resolve some issues you've really struggled to resolve in the past through some unintuitive methods. And I am hearing from several fans that they're using the ecological approach and some differential learning concepts into their practice, and it's really, really helping them out. So I am extremely happy to hear that. Uh, Anything that has to do with movement, I want it to be better. I want it to be more enjoyable. I want it to be playful, and I want it to be effective. I want it to do what it's supposed to do. So practitioners that are taking that seriously and they're looking for new ideas and new perspectives, I'm all on board with it. All right.
There's also a couple of like key.
Oh, forgot. So what I wanted to mention to say is that kinesiology is really big with anatomy. Kinesiology is super big with physical therapists. So there's a bias towards the biomechanics, and there's too much fussing on the biomechanics. And I believe, as far as I can tell, because I'm not an expert on this stuff, I believe that that is the fixation on those things causes there to be too much of an emphasis on how to move correctly, semi in a vacuum, and not on the process of moving, not on the control of moving, not on the amount of variability that you need actually for safety of injury, adaptation, those sorts of things. Um, there does have to be a balance probably between trying to do work to correct issues, because some of those issues can have downline um, results, to my understanding, uh, to other injuries, overuse injuries. But generally, your body's ability to compensate is actually a good thing, with some caveats, obviously. And physical therapists will, of course, be able to speak better to that. In fact, I would love to talk to somebody about that, because that would be awesome, and it has implications for martial arts training. Injury is very commonplace. Training around injury is very commonplace. So if you want to talk more about it, hit me up. Maybe David. Maybe you could talk to me about it.
Ideas and skills and what eco people will call like end intentions that I want you to come away from here with, like thinking about that. Hopefully, you can try and do anywhere at all, whenever you're doing any jiu-jitsu, and we'll talk about applications or some applications of some of those things at the end.
I think we might need to have a discussion about intention. I don't think what you said was wrong at all, but adding some clarity on what an intention is and how it interacts with directing of attention and intention. Greg understands them intuitively, and he always speaks of them together because there's a sort of coupling between them. There's an effect, and as your attention, there's a reciprocal effect. The way that you're coupling to the environment, your intention and attention are cyclically calibrating. And it's hard to know where one begins and one ends. Usually it begins with intention, so you understand what you're doing first. And then as you find better pieces of information to lock onto with your attention, that actually clarifies your intention. And this is at a very abstract level, kind of how you get into certain attractors, some well-worn ruts of how you engage in your jujitsu game. So yeah, those two are working together. Intention as a takeaway, I don't know, maybe. If they find something that guides the way that they engage with their next classes, for sure.
But for now, we'll just jump straight into playing some games. Can I borrow someone? All right, so we're going to start. I'm going to go through, I think, we'll probably get 7 or 8 rounds of some joint lock games in. To start with, we're going to start looking at straight arm locks, mainly to illustrate a couple of things I want to see. So we'll start nice and easy. Some rules today, so I'll spoil first round. First round, top player is not going to be allowed to use hands, which means I'm not allowed to grasp my partner in any way. I can hook onto him however I want, but I'm not allowed to hold on with my hands. All right, so we'll very simply start in our
Yeah, I think it's okay to use martial arts language in this case. Just frame, no grip. You could say. I know what you're doing here, and I think it's very laudable that you are challenging yourself to describe in mechanical terms what's going on, the way that Greg does, instead of resorting to martial artsy language. And I think that's fantastic. When you're speaking to a group of people who have jujitsu experience, especially they have a background in traditional, I think it's okay to say frames if you want to, and then clarify no gripping. It's a bit more concise, and you can kind of get to the meat of the task instruction, the rest of the, not the meat of, but the rest of the task instruction. But that's not a criticism, really. I mean, I'm really happy to see that. Challenging yourself really to think in those terms. And I'm sure that as an actual movement practitioner in a healing capacity, right? A licensed physio, that could be really helpful for you in your practice. And maybe you probably already do that, to be honest with you. I know that some doctors can actually be very good at speaking the jargon to the nurses and the other doctors, but translating it to the patient. Nurses definitely are good at this too. But yeah, cool stuff.
in our armbar position, our juji. All right, you can have his elbow hugged nice and tight to our chest. Only objective for me is to keep control of his elbow line. All right, we'll do this for quite a while. Right, all I've got to do is try and keep control of his elbow line. I am just not allowed to hold on to him. I can hug as tight as possible, everything I want to do. All Fabio's got to do is try and clear his elbow line. If Fabio gets on top, he starts stacking me, but I've still got control of the elbow. We can keep going until Fabio's able to get his elbow line free and close to him than it is to me. Anyone like a bit newer to jiu-jitsu and not clear by what I mean by elbow line in that respect? It's like knee line, but not for leg locks. Cool? All right, we're going to go 3 minutes on top, 3 minutes on bottom. I'll tell you when to switch. Any questions?
Yeah, I think it's good to embed that in there because it's usually a mechanically more advantageous position to hold. I would be curious. So I would definitely start them there. I would be curious why you can't hold, do it the other way. Because I think I might would want to, and maybe there's something here missing that I'm not seeing, and there's a different intention here for the task that is useful for the mat that I'm missing. I would let them do anything So start here, hug that shoulder to yourself, um, and then the bottom player has to free the elbow. Excuse me. Um, I think that that would be really useful, so that maybe clear the elbow of the leg, of the knee line. No, I don't know, the leg line probably, because sometimes, and this is not usually the case. Usually, when you get to where they don't have control of the elbow anymore, you can escape. But sometimes guys are strong enough they can pull you right back in with that grip. And there's other things they can do to recover. So it would be interesting, maybe as a follow-up game, have this game so they understand the tightness issue, and then have a follow-up game where there's more that you can do, um, to challenge the bottom player to be more thorough and set himself up for an escape where he can actually put himself at an advantage. Right now, and this is okay, especially for beginners, because you kind of have to move the variability. But right now, it's just like, oh, we're just removing the elbow line. That's all I have to do, and then I'm done, right? Um, so, yeah, again, not a criticism, an idea really, of to think about. Maybe some games that are low variability, they're good, but maybe you can actually add more variability and get more in there, and it's fine. Like, I suspect that.
Before we start.
You're not going for the break, right?
No. I just want to keep control of that elbow line for this one for now. All right?
Yes, I think with language, you could say keep the elbows glued to your chest. That would be an excellent double task instruction / external focus of attention. But the winning condition is when the elbow slips out from your elbow and forearm. Maybe it is kind of interesting because it is, the more you think about this, the more ambiguous the win condition appears to be.
Okay,
But
cool.
I've done this game
Let's
too, and it is
let's
really
get started.
fun.
Partner up. Try and find someone your own size, or two people that combine to be your size, one on each arm. Greg.
Good banter.
I'll go. Yeah, okay.
Humor is the underrated teaching modality.
All right, remember, top player not allowed to grasp for this one. All right, let's go. Clock is running. Trying to find yourself free.
So yeah, so you could see this girl in the back here, right behind David. Notice how the elbow. This is what I suspected, and it did. It happened immediately. There is the elbow is escaped, but she transitioned to the grips on the forearm and the wrist to extend, and the girl in the leopard print is not quite out of the woods yet, so she's still got to escape. Now, because they have jujitsu experience, they actually intuitively know that despite breaking the task parameters, I think based on what a strict interpretation on the task parameters, or the task instructions rather, that she's kind of out. But because they have experience, what's going on in the environment overrides that because it doesn't match the experience. And, I'm not perfect at this either. This is something to think about that's maybe underrated in terms of why your games aren't working. It's like, well, I gave them the rules. And beyond the obvious point of maybe the rules are too complicated, which is not a criticism I have for this game, it's simple enough. Maybe what's going on is so unintuitive that you need you need to refine the parameter, like what is actually an escape. So you kind of have to balance between what is a precise win condition, win-loss condition, and what are people actually willing to intuit and feel like, yeah, I actually did win this game. We know that a lot of the positional sparring, the traditional legacy positional sparring games, it's pretty easy, if you've been swept or you've been passed, pretty easy to feel like, yeah, I lost that game. And some of the other more constrained games, more conditioned games, they have a good feeling of that too. When you're doing new games, you never know till you try. But yeah, maybe this one might need a refinement. An interesting thing is these two girls over here, top player has reversed the position, but people are sending me messages. I need to put my phone away. Top player has reversed the position, and she doesn't, it's hard to tell, but she doesn't appear to have the same hugging the chest grip, but she's not out yet, right? A lot of arm bars get finished from here, usually from guard, but even from this position. So she can still decompress and tighten her knees together and finish the arm bar. Looks like she's
don't have to have your elbow line free for any great amount of time. You can get it.
That's interesting. So I was wrong. She did have the hug still, but when the elbow slipped from the hug, she didn't change her grip and just let it go. And so that's another danger sometimes. So she actually did find the task. She did pretty closely follow the task constraint, and she let go. Now, is that a problem in and of itself for just this one round? Probably not. Probably not. But it is something to think about, that if she could have done something to salvage that grip and maybe have a chance at finishing the armbar from the position she was in, letting her do that could be good, could be even more useful than hammering home the hugging to the chest. It's hard to say. I don't really know. I'll defer to the jiu-jitsu black belts. I just want to make sure these things are top of mind for everybody, and that you're seeing what I'm seeing. I can't tell you at every turn what exactly you should do. And again, there might be something going on in the mat that I'm not aware of.